Hello, my friends. This is Andy coming to you from Yorba Linda, California. And the title of this show is A Sincere Apology to Renee Gray. I got it wrong. What? Is it possible? Yes. And so I do want to apologize to Renee Gray. There is an email that I had been given that made it sound as if Renee Gray had been colluding with the teachers union. Now, in most cases, I wait a while. I talk to a few people. I look into other aspects before I make one of these videos or even go live. I know it seems like I just suddenly just go live, but that's after a period of time as a detective and police officer with the city of Anaheim for decades. Um, that's the one thing is that you don't jump to conclusions necessarily. Now you have some preconceived ideas that, of course are going to fall into place. You're going to have some, some of your common sense is going to kick in. But one of the most important things that I think is a rule in most police departments that when you are too close to a crime or a victim, maybe it's a family member that's been victimized and it just happens to happen within your jurisdiction, within your city, it is very unlikely that you will be assigned that case because your emotions are tied up into it, and you'll jump to conclusions on occasion because you really want to solve the case and you want to get to the bottom of what is happening, and quickly place blame on the person that you perceive to be the one that needs to be looked at or arrested or what have you. And so I can sincerely say that I apologize for at least on that aspect of really jumping to a conclusion that caused me to de- demand the resignation, because it really, when you collude with the teachers union, you got to be pretty bad. You got to be demonic. And I was also, if you ever accidentally, like I did, or legitimately found out that somebody that you respected and liked and had even friendly conversation with turned out to be um, a bad guy or a bad person, or um, you know had harmed children or what have you, and you just go, "Oh my gosh, no, not that person!" Oh, and it really upsets you, and it really makes you angry because you possibly fell for it. There's a part of it, one of the things with Marilyn Anderson, and I don't know what's going on with she's there's something else going on, and I can't quite put my finger on it. But in the beginning, when I first met her back, 2 elections ago, or even more than that, um, she had told me that, and many people, that she was a conservative, that she was for parents' rights, that she didn't want CRT in the schools. She believed that there were two sexes, boy and girl, that needed to be protected, and masks were stupid because they don't work, as we all know, especially now. We were trying to tell you that back then. And though you have this idea that, hey, she's right along, you're arm in arm and you're headed down the same direction, then suddenly they take this turn and you go, wow, they really made a fool of me. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's the embarrassment of being made a fool of, that also gets you caught up in some of these situations. So that's kind of what happened with Renee Gray. I had this perception that about this email, about her collusion, and even participating in a conspiracy with Marilyn Anderson and Carrie Buck and the rest of the nitwits over there at the teachers union. And so both my feelings were hurt. I felt like I was duped because I trusted her. But I was wrong. And on that aspect, at least that's what I've been told. Oh, sorry about that. Um, and so I want to apologize for jumping the gun on that aspect of it, and that she doesn't need to resign, as if she was listening to me anyway. And I want to apologize to her husband, who also made it known that he was kind of offended by the video that I had made and what he'd been told about the video. So I apologize. I was wrong. And again, my son goes to Orange County School of Computer Science, and he's had a remarkable transformation from going to that school. And I can't even tell you, every day more and more is showing me that I made the greatest decision of making sure that he went to that school. Now, he was going to go to that school because that's where I live, But it wasn't guaranteed that he was going to that school. And I fought and fought and fought in ways that I can't even tell you, to keep him in that school. And so, um, I know I made the right decision. Dr. Beth Fisher is amazing. She is unlike any other principal. She doesn't have an agenda, a personal agenda, in the sense that this has to do with her ego, or, uh, you know, it's something that she's going to financially benefit from, because she's worked far more hours than what she gets paid for. She's used more bandwidth than what she gets paid for. And she has done an incredible job. And now she's fighting like heck to make sure that that school gets what it needs to thrive. And I'm behind her 100%. And again, when I thought Renee Gray was going to interfere with that with some type of collusion, um, I did not do what I normally do, and that's wait, and wait for more information to develop. Now, with that said, there are things that I would like Renee Gray to do better. I think in the last school board meeting, there was an opportunity there to make sure that what she had told Dr. Beth Fisher in the beginning, was that she would go after Suki, the so-called charter school slayer. And that's what she was told. Of course, Marilyn Anderson and Carrie Buck did not want that to happen, because they didn't want anyone to answer the questions that may have arisen from Suki's, I'm going to call it testimony, her statements. I'm just going to stick with it as far as the testimony, and the things that she made reference to, that they didn't want somebody to come back and tell the audience that what was being said, whether it was not true, or that there's other things that need to be considered, or what have you. They didn't want an argument against what Suki had put up. And also, Dr. Beth Fisher had a 10-minute limit. Suki didn't, and she was able to ramble on and answer questions and not be challenged on anything she did. And I think that Acting Supervisor Renee Gray, even though unfortunately President Anderson is responsible for the school board meeting, that she could have stepped in. Again, Marilyn Anderson isn't that smart. So I believe Dr. or Renee Gray could have influenced her to, hey, I told Beth Fisher that she was going to go second. Let's make sure that happens, and made sure that both Suki and Dr. Beth Fisher had a 10-minute limitation, or neither one of them had a 10-minute limitation. That would have been the way to go. And I would have liked to see more effort from Renee Gray to make sure that happened, but she didn't. And so there's disappointment, but I'm gonna back off on the demands to resign based on what I had originally thought, and that was that she was colluding with the teachers union. Because again, anyone who sides with a teachers union, or colludes with them, especially, is just a person that does not care for the education of kids, doesn't care about parents, and that is the God's honest truth. I am not, being hyperbolic. I've spent so much time learning about the teachers union and what their tactics are, and we can see it. It's not just the teachers union. It is a liberal tactic that we've seen done for 4 years with the current administration in the United States, that is only, thank God, only has a few days left. Thank you, Lord. And you can see what they're trying to do. They're trying to destroy and trying to block any positive things that may happen, because they can't have positive things happen. They can't have positive things happen in California. They can't have positive things happen in the country, and say they will do all they can to cause destruction. And that is the exact same thing that's happening at PYLUSD. So again, just one more time, I just want to make sure that this gets out there, that Renee Gray, I'm sorry that I jumped to a conclusion. I apologize. I take back my demand for you to resign. And I would encourage anybody that maybe had taken my words and followed that suggestion, that y'all step back and allow Dr. I don't want to call her doctor. I don't even know if she's a doctor, but acting superintendent Renee Gray, to continue your work, lead the school. And one thing I would ask you to do, and that is demand that Dr. Chernus and Dr. Gates return to PYLUSD, so that they can go back to work and continue the amazing work that they've been doing for the last year. That's the only thing that I would request for you to do. Do the right thing. You need to tell uh, Marilyn Anderson and Carrie Buck that this is dumb. This is completely out of hand. They've lost their minds. There is nothing that they did wrong. The only thing they did wrong in the eyes of the teachers union was build systems and schools and organizations that are for the benefit of children and families in PYLUSD. And so that brings me just to one thing that I want to make sure and clear up. This was actually my prepared speech that I prepared that I decided to not do on Tuesday night during the 3:30 session for the OCSCS to have autonomy. And so this is what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you the one that I prepared. But the reason I changed it, because I had learned leading up to that particular public comment that Tricia Quintero had visited OCSCS and spent 3 hours there. Now, that is not normal for a trustee visit of a school. And for her to spend that much time with Dr. Beth Fisher, the teachers at OCSCS, to see and visit and get a tour of the labs and the amazing work that's being done there, it is impossible for somebody, I'm hoping, with common sense and some sense of morality, that spending 3 hours there, it is impossible. It would be impossible for anybody to not see the value in OCSCS and the value of giving Dr. Beth Fisher what she believes is necessary to continue to run that school and to continue to give it what it needs to have the potential of being the best school in the United States, maybe the best school in the world. I know you're thinking that's pretty high thinking that you have there, Andy. But you have to go. If you go and you listen to Dr. Beth Fisher long enough, you believe in what it is she's doing, because not only does she spell it out and have a way of speaking about what it is she's doing, she backs up what it is she says. She just doesn't talk and say, hey, we're going to do these things, and then they never happen. Everything that she has said that she can do within the budget and within the her ability and within the bylaws of what it is that she created, she has done. And then you hit a point where you need to go to the next step to continue what it is you're doing and to take it to the next level. And that is with the autonomy of OCSCS from the other schools within the school district. I may not be saying that right, but having an autonomy means that you can have your own budget, you can have your own board, but she still remains, the school still remains, OCSCS still remains a PYLUSD school. Now, I put this speech together because I really believe that there's many people that just are so confused by all the acronyms and the words and what budget it comes out of. And when you begin talking about grants, that's a very complex thing when you talk about grants. But I wanted to bring it down to a very understandable way of explaining it. So for those people that just simply are too busy to learn about all the different things, there is a really easy way to understand what it is that Dr. Beth Fisher is trying to, what she's trying to accomplish and why it's important to be able to have this autonomy. And I'm going to explain it very simply. Okay. So I'm going to go to my screen and, so what does OCSCS autonomy mean? And it's simplified. So let me break it down. And what it means for OCSCS to have its own advisory board, that's what gives it the autonomy. It has to have that. It's much like what I want to explain that happens in my family. I have 3 teenagers. When each of them turned 16, we required them to get a job so they could have their own source of income. This gave them the freedom to spend their money on things they considered important, such as clothes and other personal expenses that aren't directly related to our family's needs. This arrangement benefits the entire household. It reduces the strain on the family's shared finances, which cover essentials like utilities, mortgage, and groceries. At the same time, my teenagers still live under our roof and under our umbrella. That's not written there. I'm just adding that. And that's kind of the thing. You're under the PYLUSD umbrella. Our kids are still under the Falco umbrella and remain part of the family. They don't stop being our responsibility, just like OCSCS is still the responsibility of the school district. But having their own financial budget allows them some autonomy. In the same way, having an advisory board for OCSCS allows it to operate with a degree of independence. It can focus on making decisions that align with its specific goals without necessarily drawing resources, money, or attention away from the larger organization it is a part of. This autonomy benefits both the advisory board and PYLUSD. You have to know when a school tries to make a change to their budgeting structure, the state of California requires that there is a different governance structure. This is not the choice of the school or the school district. So for the OCSCS, because it is a computer school, a technology school, some of these things can get very expensive if you're going to build the system and the curriculum and all the things that it needs to have so that you can do these things. You're going to need something that maybe these other schools don't need, and you don't want to draw, that money from the overall budget for the entire school district. This autonomy allows for OCSCS to get grants from the state of California. Currently, in the state of California, there's something in the neighborhood of about $90 million that is earmarked just for charter schools. Now, OCSCS cannot get any of that money, even if it's $1 million or $2 million or $3 million, as a regular school within the PYLUSD, which it is simply is what it is now. It is a school that is governed by the school board, and they have to make these decisions. Well, for whatever reason, and I don't know all the ins and outs about it, obviously, but to get any of that grant money, to apply for it, you need to have this self-governance. And it is crazy. It is crazy in my mind, just as it is for parents. It's crazy for you not to make your kids get jobs as soon as they possibly can. That is extremely important. I know there's parents that say, no, they don't have to work. I'm just going to provide to them. But it's not about, in relationship to kids, it's not about them having to pay rent or do anything like that. It is important for a kid's development to understand the importance of hard work. Showing up on time means being early, staying late and working past whatever it is that their hours are, so they can show that this is important to them and understand what it's like to work for a boss. I think those things are very important. Just like for OCSCS to get its own independent governance and its autonomy allows for the school to grow independent of the restrictions of being under just the school board at PYLUSD and not pool resources and make it impossible. So Dr. Beth Fisher could think that, hey, we need 100 new computers that are $2,000 or $3,000 a piece. But do you think Marilyn Anderson and Carrie Buck are going to say, yes, give them the computers? No, they won't. Because why? Because it's very expensive, and you can't give OCSCS money and not also look at what's happening with other schools and think, well, we've said no to Kramer Middle School that wanted a bunch of balls for the sports that they're doing because it's just not in the budget. So we obviously can't give OCSCS a bunch of computers. However, with its own autonomy, they're able to pull not from PYLUSD, they're able to submit for a grant from the state of California for one of those grant-specific, charter-specific grants from the state of California, where it doesn't affect PYLUSD at all. So I hope this has helped you understand why it just makes sense. This is common sense. This may be why Marilyn Anderson can't understand it, because it's just common sense that you would obviously, if it's available and if you can do it and it doesn't take OCSCS out of the school district, why wouldn't you do that? I know there was some talk about them going to, the Gates Foundation, to all these other foundations, but that is just such a hurdle and so difficult, and it probably would not give them the money that they would need to build that school the way that it's meant to be built. And it's just like a silly idea. It means nothing It really does mean nothing. Now, the teachers union wants you to believe that this is just the next step of taking power away from the teachers union, taking power away from Carrie Buck and Marilyn Anderson, that that's the only goal, and it's evil of Dr. Beth Fisher to take that power away from those two people. As Dr. Beth Fisher only cares about the kids and educating the kids and continuing what she and Dr. Gates and Dr. Chernus, Leander Blades, and Don Frazier have imagined for that school, to do something that no other school can do. And they can do it under the charter heading if they have autonomy and are able to pull from these grants that are available that they cannot have access until that is given to them. The autonomy must be given to them. And for them to block it, it's just a power play move from the teachers union. That's all it is. I don't want any other parent out there to fall for the lies of Marilyn Anderson and Carrie Buck and Linda Mannion, that this is somehow going to take away something from PYLUSD. It's only going to help. It's going to increase the enrollment in the school district. It's going to put a spotlight on our school district as being an innovative, amazing school district that allows for these kinds of things, just like USI is. USI, just one last thing before we leave. I was at the gym at UFC gym in Brea. And so obviously a lot of Brea people go there. I had a gentleman come up to me, and he's looking at me and I'm looking at him, and he goes, "Is your name Andy?" And I go, "Yes." He goes, "Oh my gosh, I want to thank you so much for telling me about USI and encouraging me to go there to check it out." And I got a tour. I met the people that are running it over there. I met, I believe he said he met Dr. Chernus and some of the other people. And he goes, we are in. My son's going to start there next year, and I got 12 other families. They're going to bring, some of them have multiple kids, more than one. They're all homeschooled kids, and we are going to begin going to USI. It's the talk of the town. Everybody's talking about every sport that my kids are in. I have kids in, this is him talking. I have kids in softball and football and all these different baseball and all these different sports. And every one of them are saying, if we are going to be better next year, if we are going to do anything, we have to be part of this USI over at Placentia Yorba Unified School District. It is amazing. And he goes, "I'm just so grateful for you telling me about it." And he was so happy. And so I couldn't have been happier. And so these things that have been created by everyone involved, I'm not going to name names because you know who they are. They've done an amazing job, and it's pretty spectacular. And you know what? Renee Gray was probably a part of that in many ways. And so I want to be thankful to her for doing that. I just hope, Dr. Renee Gray, that you'll be a little bit more forceful in pushing some of the things that need to be said to Marilyn Anderson and Carrie Buck. Not that they'll necessarily listen, but I would love to see you fight a little bit harder for what is right and what is really common sense, and make sure that you just do that for us. That would be great for us parents and for the kids. The kids need somebody that speaks common sense, not what they're doing. None of that is common sense. The teachers union just is afraid of losing power. And so they'll do anything they have to, they'll say anything, they'll do anything, which I have been the victim of as well of course, Leander Blades, and obviously Dr. Chernus and Dr. Gates. They need to be brought back, and they need to be brought back today. All right, my friends, that's it. So just one last time, Dr. Renee Gray, I'm great. I'm sorry, Doctor. I did it again. Renee Gray, I am sorry, and accept my apology, and let's move on from here and do what's right for the kids. All right, that's it. Talk to you later. Take care. Bye.